Dallas Cowboys fans, this is what you've been looking for. A show discussing the team you love without all the fluff and BS. Host Greg Rector, along with Cowboys writers and content creators from across the country, break it down. This isn't the same old, same old. This is the blue and silver breakdown. How about them Cowboys?
Hey everybody, this is Greg Cowboys and this is the Blue and Silver Breakdown. I am joined by not the old Keith Richards, the younger one, the better looking guy. Mr. Keith, how are you?
You know, he's much better looking because of what his bank account says. So
okay.
I still lose that battle.
Yeah, you're not going to win that battle, but how are you doing?
Not bad. Looking forward to hopefully a drama-free matchup on Sunday.
A drama-free? No, this doesn't happen. This is the NFL. No, we don't.
Not against the Cowboys. That's for sure.
Yeah. I, of course, was on Moving the Chains on Sunday, and I took off my Toronto hoodie, and in front of Joe, I said the Cowboys were going to beat those Commanders. What happened? 44-22. They pretty much handled the Commanders, but Matt Eberflus used 49% of man-to-man. It was heaven, because I've been screaming since week one when he's at 90% zone defense to stop. He doesn't have the right guys to be playing zone defense. And boy, Schottenheimer was in the meetings with the defense all last week as well. You know that Schottenheimer said to Matt Eberflus, you have to stop playing all zone.
Especially against a quarterback who, with like Jaden Daniels, was Jaden Daniels in that game? I can't remember. Yeah. I know he had that recent injury. I don't think he got injured again, but
especially when he got hurt. He was only 12 of 22 for his passing.
Yeah, but he uses his athleticism to remove the pocket and look. I mean, he runs, but it's not his first priority. He uses his athleticism to maneuver the pocket, and that's what gives him the opportunity to take those deep shots and find open receivers. And if you're going to play zone, he's probably going to eat them alive.
Oh yeah, and Bo Nix had 49 rushing yards in the fourth quarter for you guys and scored 2 touchdowns, along with 174 more yards of passing in the fourth quarter with 2 touchdowns. You guys came back from a 19-0 score, almost tied the record with 33 points in the fourth quarter. The Lions scored 34 in the fourth quarter of 2000.
Most records from 0 is what it ended up being.
Yeah, exactly. You guys must have been pulling your hair out after that third quarter, however.
It's me. So being I cover the Broncos fan, I get a lot of Broncos on my timeline on Sundays throughout the week. And it's funny because the large overwhelming majority was when the fourth quarter started, this is going to be a terrible loss for Sean Payton. This team is not who we thought they were. And they come out and win. And then Vic Lombardi, who I'm kind of middle of the ground on, had actually a rare great tweet to where he addresses the gotcha people who try to take cold, like the freezing cold takes and say, they won the game. Like, why do you have no faith in the team? No one had faith in the team. Anyone that had faith in the team and like starting the fourth quarter is a liar. Like, no one thought they were going to win that game. But because of the hot take society, people are digging up tweets from 2 hours ago. And I think most people were happy to eat crow, but they were being realistic. Up to the fourth quarter, even halfway through the fourth quarter, really, it was terrible for the Broncos. And it's kind of been that way for the last 3 games, for parts throughout the whole season, really, outside of the Cincinnati game, I think it was. They really haven't looked like a dominant team. They struggled against the Titans, lost to the Colts, lost to the Chargers, should have lost to the Eagles, let's be honest, should have lost to the Jets, and they should have lost this game as well. I mean, I know there's the mentality of a win's a win, but at a certain point, it has to stop being a win's a win, and you need to prove your quality. And I think they're kind of struggling to do that right now.
I've been because I said the Broncos would win the AFC West this year because I don't believe that the Chiefs are as solid as everybody thinks they are. I think that that team is not going back to the Super Bowl, just as I don't have the Philadelphia Eagles going back this year. I just don't like the construction of the Eagles defense, and we're seeing their offensive line get beaten times. And yeah, Jalen Hurts this past Sunday, he actually threw the ball down the middle of the where he hadn't been throwing at all this year. And guess what? He found Devontae Smith wide open because the guy was wide open in these previous games down the middle, but Jalen Hurts wasn't finding him.
Which is puzzling because you would think that AJ Brown would feast in the middle of the field, but
Well,
they
and
even have him throwing outside the numbers, so that just didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, and again, when Jalen changed the route, when AJ changed that route in the fourth quarter, that was perfect. He went to the inside, boom, there it is. It was just. I think the coaching mentality in this league is just so far off, like with so many guys, whether it's an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. These guys all have their little plays that they all like. But when you're trying to throw the ball to the outside, you have to be bang on, and your receiver has to be able to beat the guy that's on him. The contested catch and all that other jazz. That's not easy to do. When you're cutting across the middle of the field, you've got a lot more room to play with.
Well, it's a copycat league. I mean, that's how the Chiefs came to prominence in their first early years of Patrick Mahomes when they had like 4 receivers who ran under 4.40s.
Yeah.
Which even with the receiver talent it is, it's hard to get 4 on a team, but people still try to replicate that. And not everyone, I don't think anyone has really replicated that since the Chiefs did it.
No. And the Dolphins attempted to with Waddle and Tyreek, but didn't happen. No, it's not going to continue. This Cowboys offense is a dynamite offense. How is the Broncos going to stop CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert, Ryan Flournoy, and of course the league leader in receptions with 51? He doesn't have very many yards, but Jake Ferguson.
It's going to be an issue. I think what the secondary of Denver, not that they're bad, I think it's a very good secondary. They want to try to rename the No Fly Zone 2.0. They're not that.
No.
I think who was it recently? Maybe it was Chris Smith Jr. or maybe it was maybe TJ Ward said they're not truly a no-fly zone because no-fly zone, there was no one that they attacked in no-fly zone. Not at cornerback, not at safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case with this Denver secondary because people have willingly gone at Riley Moss all season long.
Yeah.
And it's very hit or miss on that. So I know that CJ Lamb is probably going to get some of his good receivers due, but I'm assuming they're going to have Pastor Tane shadow him. So I don't think you can depend on CeeDee Lamb having a big game, especially coming off an injury. The biggest matchup is going to be George Pickens against Riley Moss.
Bingo.
There's times where Riley Moss looks really good against number 2 receivers. There's times where Riley Moss makes the number 2 receiver looks like a number 1 elite receiver.
Yeah.
So where they're going to have to compensate for that, it's not going to be at safety. It's not going to be, especially covering the middle of the field now that Dre Greenlaw is going to be missing the game for being an idiot. They're going to have another one of those. They're going to have another one of those 5+ sack games. Which is not improbable, but it's not something they should lean on.
And when you rush Dak Prescott finds his receivers in a quick hurry.
Has been phenomenal against the rush. The one thing that's good is that they don't really always send a whole lot on the rush. They can get to the quarterback a lot in the 4-man rush when you have Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, Zach Allen. but there are going to be times where I need to send more than 4, and that's the times when I need to be vigilant on their assignments on the back end.
And that was something that Eberflus also had finally done this week. He blitzed. Thank you. I've been calling for this ever since the season started. Why he has not had Shamar James and James Houston going after these quarterbacks on a blitz is beyond me. Because you can line up Houston as a linebacker and let him go. You can do that. But he doesn't like to have just 2 linebackers on the field. He likes to have 3. Well, in this passing league, I'm sorry, you got to play nickel defense or a dime defense, and you can only have 2 linebackers on that field. That's the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. And again, when Houston took Jaden Daniels down there, that was well, it was actually Shamar James who got Jaden Daniels down when he got injured. But at least they blitzed the quarterback. And Bo Nix under pressure.
He's not great. He's not terrible.
Yeah.
I think so. What we saw in the fourth quarter against the Giants is what I think fans, media pundits, almost everyone, except for outside of Sean Payton, apparently, wants to see Bose use his legs more. I mean, he's not Jaden Daniels, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he is one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's by design, if it's him personally hesitant of doing it, but we've seen over the past, especially these last 3 games, that when he gets out of the pocket and runs more, it opens up the rest of the offense.
Yeah.
I would maybe use Patrick Mahomes as an example, but I can't because I don't know why people still refuse to respect his legs. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I know you don't want to lose someone in coverage, but he just runs over people, and they just seem to let him do it. But
he also runs along that sideline, and nobody wants to hit the guy either. You idiot! You pound Patrick Mahomes. He's in play. You do not let up on the guy when he's in play like this.
And they say it's because they get bogus throws on him, but I'm sorry. If you watch, maybe there's a couple where he gets flagged when he's hit inbounds, but almost always he's at least a step and a half out of bounds and he's hit, and that's when they throw the flag. They're going to throw the flag. That's what they're supposed to do. They protect the quarterback, especially when they're that far out of bounds. But we've seen numerous times when people hit him in bounds that they let that go. So I don't understand what the conspiracy is about that. But with Bo Nix, I don't know why he's hesitant to use his legs. But we can see, especially in that fourth quarter run with those 2 touchdown runs, when he started to get out of the pocket and looked like he's going to run, it then opens up, plays in the middle, plays further down the field, and I don't know why it's not utilized more in the playbook.
Because Sean Payton likes his quarterback to stay in the pocket.
Yes.
Because Drew Brees always stayed in that pocket, and that apparently Drew Brees is the be all and end all of all quarterbacks, according to Sean Payton. And if you don't follow his lead, well, you're going to get in trouble. Apparently,
which I'm still not convinced how great of a coach Sean Payton is without Drew Brees. He hasn't proved it yet.
Well, yeah, that's the key there. So who's going to cause the Cowboys secondary problems?
George Pickens.
No. George is going to cause your Broncos secondary.
Oh, go with Cowboys secondary problems.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the go-to man is Courtland Sutton. But I mean, obviously, they're going to game plan around Courtland Sutton. The one player, no matter who the coach is, that they seem to have trouble unlocking consistently is Marvin Mims Jr. It would seem pretty simple to me. You get him on jet sweeps, you get him on sluggos, you get him on deep crosses, but they don't consistently get him enough action in the game.
Yeah.
I think if they can do that, I mean, it's hit or miss. He's had some great moments. He's had sometimes where he goes. I mean, you look at the game Sunday, he gets the first big catch in the middle of the field that gets them to that field goal. Um, but if you're going to go at a defense that's progressively trying to be more aggressive and not sit back in the zone, that's a player that you can use for that is Marvin Mims Jr.
Yeah. How's Franklin been for you guys?
Franklin, Troy Franklin.
Yeah.
He's been good. I think he's better than he was last season. Um, he, I think, has more in him, especially given the chemistry that he already had with um, Bo Nix coming out of Oregon. Is sometimes he gets overthrown by Nix. Sometimes he drops a lot of good Knicks passes. I mean, he's the second leading receiver on the team, in yards and touchdowns. He's got 269 yards. He only averages about 10 yards a catch. But the go to guy is Cortland Sutton. I think they hoped that Evan Ingram would be a little bit better than he has been. He's still kind of getting into it. He's looked better the past couple games. Um, it's there's just a lot of questions in the offense in the beginning of the season to where it seems like they're not either comfortable and things they had installed in the offseason or things in the offseason they installed are not working and they're trying to figure it out from there.
Yeah. And we know Peyton is an offensive coach. I mean, we understand this, but I think this victory on Sunday that you guys had, that all was on Bo Nix. He did everything possible in order for the Broncos to win that game. I don't think Sean Payton deserves that much credit for this victory.
Honestly, I think it's the best Bo Nix has looked for sure this season. Probably one of the best games he's had in his 2 years. My issue with him is my worry with him being drafted so high and coming out of Oregon is that he is so heavily dependent on the short intermediate passes. And we've seen last season and we're seeing this season, he doesn't get his feet set well and he's overthrowing a lot of easy balls to pick up a lot of big chunk plays.
Bingo, which is something that I mentioned during the Draft Central show. These quarterbacks coming out of college do not understand their footwork really matters come the NFL. And these guys come in and they still think they can dance around like they did in college. Not in the NFL, boys. Because you've got men whose their lives are dependent upon stopping you.
I think he's probably better than what at the things that I thought he was really good at, which is screen passes, short passes, the ins and the outs. But also he might be a little bit worse at the deep ball than I thought he was coming out of college. If he can get that figured out, he's easily going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. But he seems to be struggling really hard trying to figure that out.
Well, I know a top 10 quarterback in this league right now. He's apparently only 9th, according to the Vegas odds makers, for MVP. I don't understand that because you look at his numbers. He's had 13 TDs in the last 4 games, no interceptions. Dak Prescott, he is finding absolutely everybody when he wants them. And what more can you ask of a quarterback?
He's not in the narrative.
I
mean, so there's the 3 quarterbacks that everyone wants to win MVP: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson hasn't played in 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
No, he hasn't played.
Josh Allen's
he's on my fantasy bench. It's just like, I do have Dak starting for me, but again, it's always in 2023. Dak Prescott had better numbers than Lamar Jackson did.
Yeah, and then Josh Allen started off really good. He is starting to cool down a bit. I think I can understand the logic of raising the odds on Pat Mahomes because he started off really bad, but now he's really starting to click, especially when his whole complement receivers are there now. But I think there's players like Dak Prescott, like with the exception of last night, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, who should probably be higher on the MVP odds.
Yeah.
But as we've discussed often, the MVP award is broken.
Oh, it is because it's always the quarterback. And I say to people all the time, quarterbacks throw for 67, 68% on the season, right?
Yeah.
Well, out of those passes that they're throwing, how many times does a wide receiver make a spectacular play to save that quarterback's percentages? Quite often, because if you look at these quarterbacks, they're pure throws. There might be 30% of those throws that are just dead on. You're solid, etc. But most of the time, the receivers don't get enough credit for the work that they're doing.
You could use Bo Nix as a perfect example of that. I haven't pulled it up this year yet. I wanted to wait a little bit longer, but last season, the receivers led the league in yards after catch.
Yeah.
Which means he's not throwing the ball very far. He was getting a lot of yards, but that's because the receivers were doing a lot of work on the back end. Granted, you do have to throw the ball in the right spot for the receiver to be able to make the plays. But I would say it's about 50-50 of him throwing in the right spot and the receiver or sometimes the back doing the rest.
Yeah. Speaking of running backs, there's a guy that you're familiar with. He now wears 33 for the Cowboys, Javonte Williams. Do you think he is going to be a man possessed going back to Denver this weekend?
I would hope he is. If he's the Javonte Williams that everyone in Denver thought he was. I don't think there's a lot of ill will towards Javonte Williams
No, because
in Denver.
Peyton even said losing Williams sucked in this offseason, and he really liked Javonte Williams, but the team decided to go to R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I mean, it's what happens to Javonte Williams is what I wanted to happen to Courtland Sutton. I mean, Courtland Sutton he's been fine this season. I mean, he is not that he's been bad. I just there's only so much you can try to push a player to be. You can blame bad quarterbacks. That's a fair assessment. He had some injuries, but he still really hasn't wild. I mean, because we've seen plenty of receivers have monster years with bad quarterbacks. He didn't have a single monster year with a bad quarterback.
No.
He definitely looks better with Bo Nix at quarterback, but does he look so great that I think he was worth what he got? No, I don't think so.
I think he's slightly overpaid. But again, because the salary cap keeps rising and all these other wide receivers out there are making the big, big money that they are now, Courtland Sutton's pay is pretty much where it should be.
Yeah, right now he's 10th in the league in reception yards. He's got 469. I mean, number one is JSN, who's having just a ridiculous season.
Yeah.
Receptions, he is, let's see. Well, I gotta search a little further. 21st in the league. 33 receptions on 50 targets. Which in the Sean Payton offense, they're going to spread the ball around a lot, so you can't really put that on him.
No.
But so you got to figure out who's the issue to where he's missing 17 receptions on those 50 targets. Because if you look at who's number one, who is Jamar Chase. They throw the ball to him a lot, and it's easy to know. So he has 80 targets, 58 receptions.
Yeah.
It's easy to understand why he's missing some of those passes because he's being double triple team. That's not the case with Courtland Sutton. He's probably getting double teamed some, but probably not as much as Jamar Chase. So if they could find a way to get the ball to him more consistently, I mean, he is your number one receiver who you pay to be your number one receiver. So sometimes you have to force that issue, and they really haven't so far.
Yeah, exactly. So how are the Broncos special teams this year?
I mean, we've seen how good their their field goal blocking unit can be has lost them 2 games, but they're kind of middle of the road. The field goal kicker is good enough, and Will Lutz. I would say honestly, it's probably kind of a down year
Yeah.
for Marvin Mims. That's their main punt returner, kick returner as well. He's only got about 352 total yards in return so far this season, which is good for 19th. He's averaging about 27 yards of return, as long as only 34. He hasn't been doing that great on. I think they're trying to kick away from him on punts, because he can be dangerous in those. He's actually doing better on punts than kick returns.
Yeah.
On punts, he's had, let's see, I think 17 returns for 209 yards, which is actually only second behind Torrey Horton, who's a Colorado State guy who we love here.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you mentioned the Rams. I'm glad you mentioned the Colorado State Rams, even though they fired their coach this week. But Troy Horton was awesome. He was awesome in that Colorado State offense. He was incredible, and yes, he is a very good special teams guy as well.
Yeah, so punt returns aren't bad. Kick returns, he could use some work. They really haven't given up a whole lot on kick and punt returns either, so they're good in that aspect. But traditionally, they use Mims to create more, especially on the kick returns, and it really hasn't taken off that much quite yet.
Yeah.
I think it could be those.
By the way, the guy who is the scariest man in all of the NFL, according to the experts, Devontae Turpin, he's going to be returning kicks and punts against the Broncos this week. If he gets one, I don't know if the Broncos catch the guy.
No, they really don't have that.
They don't have the speed. They don't have the speed guys, do they?
They don't have speed. Really that much on the team. You have Troy Franklin's got some speed. Mims have some speed. I wouldn't say Cortland Sutton's a really fast guy. They're probably their best speed is on their edge rushers, honestly. Surtain for sure, but you don't really think of him as a speed guy because he's more in your face in coverage. Riley Moss, I wouldn't say is a really fast guy. Safeties, as far as speed, aren't really anything to write home about.
No.
Probably their speediest linebacker is Dre Greenlaw, who's not going to be playing in this game. So, speed is not the hallmark of this team, that's for sure.
Yeah. But this game is being played in Denver, which means the Cowboys have to come up into altitude, which can be a nightmare. But we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, at the end of the day, I still do think it's an advantage. It's not the advantage that it was 20, 30 years ago with all the mechanisms that teams have to train to emulate the altitude. It's still a little different at game speed than at practice and training speed, but they had the oxygen bottles on the sideline. It really only matters in close games in the fourth quarter. If the game's close, you just can't emulate that when you've been playing 50, 60 plays at altitude.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't think it's as much. It's still a factor, don't get me wrong. It's an advantage. It's not the huge advantage that it used to be.
No, exactly. Give us your score for this game.
Ooh, even in a win, I think the Broncos were a little humbled against the Giants, because they thought they were just gonna steamroll them. Like they really did. I think the players subliminally thought that. The chatter from the fans thought for sure they were gonna do that. And that's not what happened. And really, that's the second game in a row to where they're playing with fire with I would argue, much lesser teams than the Jets and the Giants. I think this is going to be a closer affair. Not that the other games haven't been close. I think it's going to be a lower scoring affair. I am unfortunately going to pick the Broncos to win. I think the difference is going to be their defense. That is going to. I don't know if it's possible at this point in the season to contain the Cowboys offense or to stop the Cowboys offense, but I think they can contain them enough to where there are enough playmakers on the Broncos offense. Particularly, I think a person who's going to play a big role in this game is J.K. Dobbins. That I'll take the Broncos 24-21.
21 points for this offense for the Cowboys?
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean,
Again, I can see this happen. I can see it happening.
I look at it this way: if Daniel Jones can put up 29, if Jackson Dart can put up 32, I think the Cowboys should be able to put up 21. Not that I'm trying to disrespect them because I think they have been a great offense, but I think Vance Joseph is going to have the team coming in pissed after the last game.
Yeah, they could be as pissed off as they want to be, but if they don't stop Javonte Williams out of that backfield, they're in trouble.
That's going to be a problem because that's not the hallmark of players like Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito. So it's going to have to be big games from Zach Allen and Malcolm Roach and DJ Jones and the guys inside there.
Yeah. And again, they did get Jadon Blue some rushes as well at the end of the game against Washington. I'm going to say the Cowboys do make 30 points this week again. This offense is just they're unstoppable. They are unstoppable at this point. They've scored 40 or more at home in all three games. And they don't care who the defense is. And Dak Prescott is just playing so masterfully right now. I think that George Pickens gets 2 touchdowns against Riley Moss. Javonte scores at least 1. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to see Brandon Aubrey kick a field goal that's going to be massive because we know that the air in Denver is.
Oh, he should easily go for 67 or something.
It's got to be 70. It's got to be the 70 mark. I mean, and they had a shot at a 68-yard field goal last week, and they didn't take it. The fans were booing because they didn't take that 68-yarder. It's like, no, relax. They already had the game won. I mean, that you didn't need any more points, right?
Yeah, which I think it's professional sports.
Yeah,
and Little League, no, you don't take that field goal. It's professional sports, you take that field goal. We're all grown people. Let's see it happen.
Well, even if it was against a division rival and points would be the key between two of them if they tied. No. We've already got them beat by 22 points here. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, I could see like going for a Hail Mary at the end of the game when you're already winning, but something like a 68-yard field goal, have at it.
Well, again, I would have liked to have seen it, but was I upset by it? No. Because Dak stopped throwing the football in the third quarter. He stopped. He would have had a 300-yard day if he had kept throwing the football easily. But he didn't. And again, that's being classy, unlike some other characters that I'm familiar with out there. I'm telling you, Doug Flutie, when he played up here in Canada, when he was with the Calgary Stampeders, would be on the field the whole game. The Stampeders were winning left, right, and center, and he's still throwing the football. And it's just like, you little, I would love to have gotten that little idiot on the ground because he wouldn't have gotten up again.
See, me, I'm petty. I'm the mentality of if you couldn't stop it in the first quarter, don't be mad when they're doing it in the fourth.
Yeah, but when you're up that big, you belong on the sideline. You let your backup in. That's the whole thing. And he never did. He never did because his ego wouldn't let him off the field. That was just, it drove me crazy.
I thought Mr. Flutie was a legend up there in Canada.
Yeah, but he's a legend in BC, Calgary, and Toronto. He wasn't a legend in Edmonton, and that's where I was. He was certainly no legend there. But again, no, I'm gonna say it's gonna end up being 30-24 for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dismiss that whatsoever. It's very possible. I'm more leaning on this being a get back to normal game for their defense.
Yeah,
The
but
Broncos
again,
defense, that is.
But again, I'm saying that this Cowboys offense is just on all cylinders right now. All cylinders. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore was cooked by CeeDee Lamb and by Pickens last week. It was ugly.
But Marshawn Lattimore also gets cooked by everyone these days.
Well, yeah, now he is, right? I mean, he's no longer the shutdown guy that he was with the Saints. But those passes were just fantastic from Dak. All of them. I mean, he just boom. So again, I'm going to say it's going to be 30-24. It's interesting to see that the Broncos have taken first place. I know that the Kansas City Chiefs get to come to Dallas for Thanksgiving Day, which will be the biggest TV ratings day of all time because Patrick Mahomes comes to Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. We all know that the Thanksgiving Day game is always the number one in the regular season. This one's going to be massive. It's going to be, the numbers are going to be astounding.
Yeah, I mean, I think people in Denver may be a little bit too complacent about them being number one in the AFC West. They are number one right now because of their record.
Yeah.
Even with the downslide of the Chargers, if Denver can't keep their record as high as it has been, which I think they have the opportunity to do because their schedule is a little bit light in the middle section here. But if you look within the conference and within the division, within the conference, the Chargers are still better. They have a 4-1 record.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are 500. Broncos are only 3-2, so they're not really leading there. In the division, we're not going to talk about the Raiders. They don't account for anything. Chiefs are 500.
Okay, Ashmere, it's okay. Don't kill Keith for that. Okay, don't.
The Chiefs are 500, 1-1. Broncos are actually 0-1 within the division, and then you have the Chargers who are 3-0. So that's going to be.
You would like another shot at those Chargers right now because that offensive line just totally sucks.
If it's not healthy before they play them again, it's going to be a long day for. I think Justin Herbert might fake an injury before the game.
Yep.
But I think the Broncos are going to play so well that their division record won't matter? No, I don't think so.
No, you have to win. You have to win those games within your division. That's the bottom line of this. I mean, the Cowboys are 2-1 in the division right now. They should have had there not been that stupid hour and 15-minute weather delay. They could have beaten Philadelphia in week 1. They should have beaten them, but again, both offenses come out in that field and they totally sucked after that long of a period off. Right? I mean, it was just horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it should get better. I mean, the next 2 division games are going to be against the Raiders on the 6th, and then they get the Chiefs on the 16th. And then they play the Raiders again on December 7th, but then their last 2 games of the season are against the Chiefs and then against the Chargers. So they have to both win at least one of those games against the Chiefs and the Raiders. I would assume they're going to beat the Raiders. The Chiefs, I think that's 50-50.
If you guys come out and beat the Chiefs twice in a year, that means you win this division. That's the bottom line.
They should. I mean, well, they should win the division if they beat them twice. Are they going to beat them twice? I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any money on that quite yet. But I think if they can go into the last game of the season where they're 3-2 in the division against that last game against the Chargers, I think they got a good shot to win the division.
Yeah, exactly. I want everybody to understand that in my description of the show here, I have a link to buy any Cowboys merchandise that you would like to. I get a little bit of money from that, which is always a nice thing. And again, I want everybody to like and subscribe to the channel. That's how us smaller guys survive. Keith, you cover the Colorado Rapids.
Oh, we don't have to talk about
Okay. All right.
Well, the season's over.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity to make the playoffs on decision day, which was Saturday. They played, I think, one of their better games at the end of the season. They drew 2-2 against LAFC against the monsters that are Heung-min Son and Dennis Wawanga. It was like a South Korea national game at Dick's Sporting Goods Park on Saturday because there were so many Sun fans there. I mean, I've seen a lot of fans of other players. I've seen a lot of fans of whole teams, like in Leeds Cup when the La Liga MX teams come in. I've seen nothing like the people that showed up for Sun for that match. It was absolutely insane. You would think it was a South Korea national team home match. That's how many showed up there. But because they didn't win that game, they actually had it was so it's an experience on decision day because they had all the teams in the West playing at 7. They needed Dallas to lose, who were down there 2-star strikers, but Vancouver screwed up and got a red card 10 minutes into the match. So Dallas won that. They needed Salt Lake to lose. They went up early, but St. Louis came back to tie it. So if the Rapids would have won, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They drew because they gave up a stupid goal after getting a go-ahead goal like 30 seconds later. So their season's over. Unfortunate madness in the press conference that has been well covered on Twitter between one of our press row guys and the coach. They've since made up. But they're in for an interesting offseason. Whether or not they keep their star striker who they've gotten good offers for in the secondary transfer window, we'll see what they get in the primary transfer window. It's still not certain Chris Armas is going to be back. He doesn't have a contract. Well, his contract ends at the end of this season.
At the end of the season,
as far as we know, and we would know by now, he has been offered one. And then they have a lot of players they have options on, ones that are probably going to get transferred out back to international. So it'll be an interesting offseason for them.
Well, it's always fun in the world of football. Yes, kids, it's football. It's not the MLS. Don't call that game soccer. It's football. Man, and this is why the MLS does not succeed, because they refuse to call themselves what they really are. They're football players.
It's interesting, though, because we have a lot of international players that come into the league, and even a lot of the American players call it football. when we're talking to them in press conferences, some will call it soccer, I think, just to fit in with the national normalcy of it. But
the obsession with that British slang word, which was the association was called the sock. Oh, and they developed soccer from that. Hello, you Americans don't like anything that came out of England. That's why you fought the war. Come on now.
But I think it's going to be a good playoffs. It's kind of wide open. You had the Philadelphia Union, who were not supposed to be very good this season, ended up winning the Supporters Shield, which, if you don't know what that is, that's the team that scores the most points. Well, I'll say score the most points to keep it simple throughout the season, which is points you get from wins and draws. You had the San Diego FC, who were an expansion team that I would say 99% of the analysts picked to finish last in the West, finished first in the West, best MLS expansion team in history. But then you also have Vancouver, who picked up Thomas Mueller, who's been great in Vancouver. Of course, you got LAFC with Sun. Him and Bouanga are a nightmare because they kind of play positionless football. I mean, Bouanga starts on a wing. I think technically they have Sun starting on a wing, but they're all over the pitch once the match starts.
Exactly right. And of course, you're also a Man City fan over in the EPL. I, of course, cheer for the Liverpool Reds, which really sucks these days.
Not a good day. Not a good day.
I've just been stunned by these 4 straight losses for the Liverpool Reds. It's just what are you doing? What are you guys doing? They have no idea what they're doing on the field. There's no
Yeah,
originality. There's nothing.
I think City is probably outperforming a little bit, at least for now. I think towards the end of the season, once they get healthy and they go through that primary transfer window in January, they'll probably
Yeah.
get some more pieces there. I think the only reason City is playing as well is because I don't know who said something or did something to Erling Haaland in the offseason, but he's playing
Hey,
like a man possessed.
that man wants the Ballon d'Or. That's what he wants it. I mean, and that's what he's going for, and he's on fire. Like, boom, he's on fire. There's no
Yeah,
doubt.
they're second, which I didn't think they would be at this point. So that's good if they can get Rodri healthy. I think he's mostly healthy. I think more of his injuries about being fit. He missed so much time last year, and then they went and played in the FIFA Club World Cup, and he played some significant minutes there. They did just lose Nico Gonzalez in the Champions League match today. They don't know for how long yet, so that could be an issue. But
that might hurt them. But
yeah,
again,
so we'll see.
The English Premier League is the best football league in the world. Bottom line, that's
I would say probably yes, but they're creeping up on them in those other leagues.
I'm not worried about La Liga or Bundesliga. No, I'm not worried about them. The Italian teams are looking pretty decent this year, though.
Yeah, Serie A has been great. I think their biggest concern is going to be the Brazil Serie A team or league, which is, as we saw in the Club World Cup, they are ready to just take over.
They take over. Bingo. Yeah. But anyhow, it has been a pleasure having you on the Blue and Silver Breakdown. Give everybody your final score again.
24-21 Broncos.
And I'm going to say it's going to be 30-24 for the Cowboys. So that's going to be the end of the show. Again, do like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, please, and thank you. That's how us small guys survive. And everybody, take care.